Welcome to Huddle Up,
Brought to you by the Fields Huddle Group.
Jaguars senior writer John Oehser, NFL Network analyst and former Jaguar Bucky Brooks, and senior reporter J.P. Shadrick bring you the latest on your Jacksonville Jaguars. Huddle Up starts right now.
And welcome in to Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, Wednesday, September 25th. We've got a busy show ahead. Our last look at the Jaguars Bills Monday Night Football blowout loss. The AFC South battle coming up this Sunday in Houston, NRG Stadium. The Texans and the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence looking to bounce back from Monday night. C.J. Stroud also had a rough outing last time out against the Minnesota Vikings. That quarterback matchup, something to watch certainly moving ahead. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. J.P. Shadrick, John Oehser at the Hyundai Studios of the Miller Electric Center. Fresh out of the locker room for the first time this week. Bucky Brooks, by now I should know his name, is in Los Angeles. Good afternoon, Bucky. How are you?
What's going on, guys? How we feeling?
We're
Great,
feeling,
Buck.
we're feeling fine.
This is great.
I mean, how are you feeling?
I mean, I've been better, but I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to smile through it all. Trying to hope that we can go 1-0 this week. Can't really go 1-0 this week. Well, I guess we can because Sunday's a new day. Yeah, try and go 1-0 this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've written a couple of times and talked to people this week, and we have to do a huddle up today. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes there's not that much to say, but we'll say it anyway. But they just got to play better and start making plays. The same stuff we've said for 8 weeks now. At some point in this league, you got to go do it. And I guess my analysis will get better as the show goes on. But right now, that's what I got, and it's frustrating because I think fans are seeing it, coaches are seeing it, players are seeing it, and now you got to do it. And when does that happen?
And Doug said it in his Zoom interview with the media yesterday, Bucky, enough of the rah-rah speeches.
Yeah.
We've heard all that before,
And that's where we sort of feel it too, right? Rah-rah speech is the coach's version. We're talking it, and you feel like you're sort of repeating yourself, so you feel, man, I wish I had something else to say. Maybe Bucky does.
Yeah, Bucky.
He's on NFL Network for a reason.
What you got, Bucky? Get us out of this abyss.
Well, what I would say is, look, man, like I think Doug kind of capped it up when he said, we got to get done with all the rah-rah and the talking. At some point, you got to play. And look, it's about the players playing. We can talk about coaching. We can talk about can they make better plans and those things. But I would say before anything turns around, the players have to play better. I can't say that they're getting beat because they have faulty game plans and those things. I can say that they're getting beat because their best players aren't playing at a high level. From number 16, the quarterback, to the offensive line, Cam Robinson and Anton Harrison, specifically, to the defensive line not being able to get a pass rush. The Jaguars have a lot of hopes and dreams tied into their star players, and their star players aren't delivering.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what it is. All the above. I mean, let's touch on the defense and the zero pressure part of this thing. I mean, they got one quarterback hit on Josh Allen, and I get it, Bucky. He gets the ball out fast. That's the way it's designed. They run the ball some. Allen ran and did some things, but they touched him one time in the pocket, and that was Mason Smith, who was inactive the week before, remember? There's a lot of money up front for only touching the quarterback one time. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem. And, watching it field level, it looked like Josh Allen was playing 7-on-7. It was almost like the pass rush was non-existent in terms of how he was looking at the field and didn't even feel them. And if he did feel them, it was because he was toying with them. I felt like we were the invitee on homecoming. And we were just like a directional school coming to play, coming to get our money and get whooped. And that's what happened. And because we didn't produce a pass rush, because they did a really good job, I would say this, they did a really good job game planning and attacking the man-to-man scheme, doing some unique things where they put the tight end outside of the flanker and the running back outside so they could get a run, they can get a man zone key, and then they motion and put people in weird spots. And so now you got linebackers outside, DBs inside, and everyone is uncomfortable. They just did a really good job of look, creating and exploiting mismatches, and it really allowed Josh Allen to have a great day because up front they couldn't win. They just couldn't win up front.
Yeah, and I said all off season, I thought the key to this defense, whatever else we were talking about with the rotation, the secondary, paying Tyson, all these things, the four guys up front, Hamilton, the three defensive ends, for this defense to have been improved, no matter the coordinator, those four guys had to be dominant. And you paid Eric Armstead to come in here. You drafted Trayvon Walker and paid Josh Allen, drafted him in the top 10. You know, when you looked at the roster compared to other rosters, that's elite level stuff. And those four had to be winning things and making other teams uncomfortable. And if they didn't, this wasn't going to be a good defense. And they didn't on Monday, and it wasn't a good defense. So I guess, you know, I'm sad that I was right.
That's what happened.
But I mean, Bucky, is that a one game thing? Can these guys? I get it can't be just four. I mean, but you know what I'm saying about that. Those are your elite studs on that side of the ball, and when you have four elite studs like that, you expect to look at an offense, and the other offense will be disheveled at times. Other offenses haven't felt all that disheveled to me this year.
No, I'm really surprised because I'm going back and I'm looking at my trusty little notebook that we always have when we're doing the podcast and we're doing anything Jags related, and I'm looking at like why Doug Peterson decided to play the starters late. And I've got all the quotes, and Ryan Nelson, anybody, anytime, anywhere. They felt like they had a tough camp. They felt like, you know, fewer words, more actions. They want to be a physical team and do what we're good at and all these things. And it's funny because I'm looking at all these things, including the preseason stars, Parker Washington, Tank Bigsby, and none of that stuff that we've talked about has come to fruition. Now, it's not too late for it to do, but like the team hasn't been a physical team. They aren't necessarily doing things that match their words. Like the words have been positive. Like they've been everything that you want to hear from the locker room, but the actions don't display that there's some kind of disconnect. And right now what I see is a team that is lacking confidence. And it's weird because it's always the chicken or the egg debate. Do you start believing before you do, or do you do, then you start believing? Right now, the Jaguars need something good to happen so they can believe that they can be a good team.
And then on the offensive side of the ball, we'll touch on that a little deeper here in a moment. That's a whole different issue altogether, which we'll take an entire segment to get to coming up. There's a lot going on around this Jaguars team. Quickly, though, you spent a little more time than I did in the locker room just a moment ago. There weren't many guys in there yet when I had to leave, but anybody else kind of that you visited with?
Evan Ingram was in there talking a little bit, and I think you were in there for that. Mm-hmm. He's one. I would phrase him like this: he wants to be optimistic about Sunday. He's saying he's optimistic. I don't necessarily know how realistic it is that he plays Sunday. We'll see. You hope so. He talked a lot about leadership, and the problem with that is it's really hard in this league to lead from the sidelines. He's very capable. He's going to say the right thing, send the right message. Great guy, but it's hard if you're not playing. Christian Kirk, said what you'd expect. It sort of circles back to what we said at the top of the show. All these guys this week, I expect them to. They know what they need to do. They know that it's about putting the past behind them, doing the things, sticking to the plan, because it's the only thing you can do. You can't rip up the plan at this point because you spent all the season with the plan. You can't just change course. They've got to play better. They got to make plays when it matters. They have to not make key mistakes at key situations. I don't necessarily think the Buffalo game defines the season, but even in the first couple, they weren't making the big plays at the big moments. I mean, we've been talking about for basically 2 months going back to Cincinnati last year. They know what they have to do, and I'm convinced they're all going to say it because they know it. As Christian said, what we're saying during the week now doesn't matter. We have to go play, and we have to go win the game. They played really well last time they were in Houston.
They did.
Latch on to that, JP.
It's been a while, though. Thanksgiving week, wasn't it?
That was really the last time they played well.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say that. They played well against Cincinnati, and then it sort of went haywire at the end because of some circumstances. But beyond that, that's the last time. So maybe channel that NRG magic.
Right.
That's what I got, Buck.
Yeah.
NRG magic.
That's where we are, Bucky.
Well, no, look, I think everyone is so funny because like the words that I heard in the locker room, hey man, we need to play with pride and those things, like those are not comments that are normally made until like the very end of the year, not week 3. Not, hey man, we got to fight, we got to do whatever. Like we're not looking at the scoreboard, who gives effort, who runs to the ball, who finishes blocks. We're gonna ride with those who play the hardest. It's not great when you're already at that stage of it where you just don't have any other verbal stuff to offer the team, that you're just talking about like, man, we got to get after, we got to play hard, we got to be physical, all those things. Those should be day one install conversations.
Putting ahead, we are moving on to Houston, and we'll get into the quarterback play for the Jacksonville Jaguars from Trevor Lawrence. Are you Duval enough to become the Jaguars 2024 Fan of the Year and earn a trip to Super Bowl 59? Visit NFL.com/Fan of the Year and nominate someone today. This is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Cheer on your Jaguars as they travel to Houston to take on the Texans this Sunday at the official away game watch party at Mr. Chubby's Fleming Island. Indulge in the biggest and best wings in town with appearances by Jackson DeVille and The Roar. You'll even get the chance to win autographed items and game tickets, all while soaking up a lively atmosphere with fellow Jags fans. Mr. Chubby's Wings, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey Jaguars fans, as the official whiskey sponsor of the NFL, it's not kickoff without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. And that's why they've built the Crown Royal Rig. An absurdly awesome 18-wheeler delivering the generous spirit to stadiums and tailgates across the country. Follow the Royal Rig on its journey from city to city, bringing together local cuisine, NFL legends, and the opportunity to pack a purple bag for charity and win tickets to Super Bowl 59. Visit crownroyal.com for rules and more. Please drink responsibly.
They're always different. How they unfold, how these games go early and down the stretch. So I feel like this, not just myself, this group, for the majority of us, we've played together, for a few years now. So we've been through a lot, and I think it will help us. But we got to use it, and we got to move forward. And it's a long season, and I don't say that to say that we have time to waste, because we surely don't anymore. But saying that is, it is a long season, and we've been in a worse spot than this before, and we found a way out of it, and I got full faith we're gonna do the same. But we gotta go prove it. So excited for that opportunity.
That opportunity is coming up Sunday at NRG Stadium in Houston. The Jaguars and the Houston Texans coming up. Welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, JP Shadrick, John Oehser at the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center in Jacksonville. Bucky Brooks in Los Angeles, California. All right, so the urgency there. The Jaguars have started 0-4 5 times in franchise history. 95, of course, 03, 2013 and 14, and then 2021. 4 of those 5 are with a first-year head coach. They are trying to avoid that this week in Houston. It starts with that guy right there, number 16, Trevor Lawrence. And the performance overall, we've talked a lot about what a franchise quarterback needs to be able to do to elevate his team when all other things are breaking down around him. is he that guy to take that next step? Didn't show it on Monday, and you can argue he hasn't shown it in a little while, Bucky. So how does he turn the corner?
I hope that while he was watching the game on Monday, I hope that he can kind of take some of the things that Josh Allen was doing and just kind of let his game kind of be like that. And what I mean is, when I was watching the game on Monday, it kind of reminded me of the movie Top Gun. And so in Top Gun, you have Maverick, who is kind of the carefree, almost reckless spirit that just kind of goes for it and doesn't really think about the consequences of his action when he plays. And then you have Ice, who is a little more analytical, very pragmatic as he thinks about everything and maybe overthinks everything. To me, those are the two guys that played on Monday. Josh Allen is carefree, just going, having fun or whatever. And Trevor is kind of walking around with the weight of the world on his shoulders, trying to be perfect. And what I would like Trevor to do is, hey, man, just cut it loose. And even if it's one of those games where you throw 3 interceptions or whatever, I would just like to see him just be carefree and aggressive, letting it rip, as opposed to trying to be the perfect thing. And I think sometimes what happens is when young guys get that second contract, that big contract, they feel like they have the weight of the world in terms of, you would think it would lighten up because they've gotten the bag. But really, the weight of expectation, they feel like they have to prove to everybody why I've earned the deal. And I would like him to just be like, hey, man, I don't care. I'm going to let it go. I would like Doug and them to encourage him, man, take risks, be daring, go for it, and then we can bring you back down to the mean, because that's how Josh Allen kind of progressed over his time in Buffalo. And when I look at them, I see guys who have similar skill sets, not exactly the same, but similar enough where they should be able to do the same things on the field. But I don't feel like Trevor plays with the confidence, the swag, or the carelessness or carefree spirit that Josh Allen plays with.
You just don't want to be Goose.
No.
Because it did. I mean,
No, you don't.
Started off well. Young Meg Ryan, and then didn't go that well. So, but you know, yeah, I mean, it's so tough to analyze with Trevor right now because so much is going on. I want to be the guy to say, hey, franchise guy has to lift everything around him. I find that is sometimes a bit of a fallback cliche that people use when they don't know what else to say. Because even franchise guy, if nothing's going on around him, tough to completely lift. Mm-hmm. I still think there's moments where, with the offensive line struggling, and it has struggled, that there are still moments where Trevor can be better at, okay, I've got the time. I've got this moment now. Gave, the Brian Thomas Jr. throw, the interception. But it's one interception, so that hasn't been a thing all year. I think Bucky's right. I don't know if it's pressing or if it's just trying to make sure I play a certain way so as not to have these turnovers everybody's been talking about. I always hesitate to say just cut it loose because then if there's a pick, everybody's, oh my goodness, there's the pick. Why'd you cut it loose? But he needs, just like the rest of the team, when the opportunities are there for plays, to make them. And that hasn't happened at the right time enough. And plus the slow starts, JP. I mean, that's what.
Oh gosh, yeah.
If there's been a thing, it's been, coming out of the gate, even on offense, it just sort of seems a given that they're going to punt.
Yeah, 1 yard, 3 and out.
And that's a little perplexing as well. I mean, so much. I wish I had better answers because I feel I want to have better answers, and yet there's these things that you look at and go, that's not what they were until this stretch, right? So. It seems to be what defines them, and I kind of wish I knew why.
And even, Bucky, when they're moving the ball, like that second possession, there's 14-play drive. They had a 4th down. They're getting moved. It just takes so much energy to move down the field and grind down all the way down, and then an illegal formation stalls the drive, and they have to settle for a field goal.
And some of that, Bucky, I think is I know you've said it a lot in the years we've been doing this show. With the exception, there's been a few big plays, but they haven't necessarily hit, it's hard to go 12, 13, 14 plays. Yeah. You're eventually going to hit a mistake. You're eventually going to have something happen against you. And I sort of feel like that may be part of it too as well, Bob.
Absolutely. And you've talked about it from your previous experience with Indianapolis Colts and Tony Dungy, and how Tony Dungy's defensive philosophy was make them get over 10 plays to drive the length of the field. I think Gus Bradley, even in Jacksonville, operated on the same premise. The odds of something bad happening when you have that many plays, it goes up. And what we've seen from the Jaguars, the self-inflicted miscues and mistakes happen when they get to the end of drives and they have an opportunity to get into the scoring zone and they mess it up because of, I'll say this, like just lack of concentration, lack of focus, not necessarily knowing what they're doing when it comes to the communication, who's in where, all of those things that really should have been cleaned up. Like we talk about training camp and how much time they spent with the starters playing. Some of these things should have been tidied up by the time we got to the regular season, but they haven't. And they've really been costly. And you're right, it does feel like such a grind right now on offense. And I'll say the reason why it's such a grind is the O-line isn't playing well. And I know the first person that catches the blame is Trevor, and Trevor certainly hasn't played at an A level. The O-line has been terrible. Like they have been absolutely dominated up front. And what happens with every quarterback, when they start getting hit, they again lose trust in the line. They begin to look and see where's the next hit coming from. And it takes away from the ability to see and trust that something's going to open down the field. So it's a stack of dominoes. And if the offensive line plays better, I can pretty much guarantee that Trevor's going to play better. And if Trevor plays better, then all the perimeter weapons are going to play better. So it all starts up front. The offensive line has to play better. Like, that's mandatory.
How about their matchup this week with the Texans edge rushers and defensive front, Bucky?
Not great.
Okay.
Not great. I mean, because what happens is when you put that stuff on tape, everybody is now going to, it's a copycat league. Everyone's going to replicate it and do it a few different ways. They have to play better. And the thing about the Texans, when you look at them on tape, the one thing everyone will agree with, they play hard, they run to the ball, they have a high level of physicality and violence in their games, and they have really good players. And this is going to require, like, this isn't a quote-unquote get-right game. The Jags are going to have to play really well to win because offensively, they're loaded. Defensively, they can play. This is going to require the Jaguars to click on all cylinders. And, we haven't seen half of the cylinders in the engine click. So it's a tall task for them right now.
We're back in a moment. We'll flip it around and take a look at the Jaguars' defensive matchup this week and C.J. Stroud on the other side. And, yes, that arsenal of receivers that the Texans employ. Jags fans want customized Jags furniture for your home? Check out ZipChair.com and browse all customizable options. ZipChair, furniture for fans. This is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
The kick is up. It's good!
Score winning sub deals this Jaguar season at Firehouse Subs. Receive 50% off on any sub when the Jaguars kick a field goal of 40 yards or more. It's a bold deal for the bold city. Download the Firehouse Subs app for offer details. Redeemable only at participating Jacksonville and Orlando area restaurants. Only available in the Firehouse Subs app. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Cheer on your Jaguars as they travel to Houston to take on the Texans this Sunday at the official away game watch party at Mr. Chubby's Fleming Island. Indulge in the biggest and best wings in town with appearances by Jackson DeVille and The Roar. You'll even get the chance to win autographed items and game tickets, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow Jags fans. Mr. Chubby's Wings, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Chelsea here. Tired of those drafty windows and high energy bills? It's time to upgrade with Renewal by Andersen. Right now, during our exclusive sale, you can save big on custom-built, energy-efficient windows and doors designed to keep your home comfortable and secure all year round. Our Fibrex material is 2 times stronger than vinyl, providing superior durability and impact resistance. Plus, with flexible financing options available, there's never been a better time to make a switch. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation today. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Restrictions apply. License number CGC 1527613.
I mean, obviously, our sense of urgency is heightened. Obviously, at 0-3. I mean, that's not where we want it to be, and now we're facing a really good Houston football team on the road. And it doesn't get any easier. So I don't think I have to say much. Obviously about these types of weeks. It's a matter of continuing to trust our process and the standard we've set here, and continue to work through it.
Peterson earlier today, the full press conferences for Peterson and Trevor Lawrence at Jaguars.com and Jaguars YouTube. And welcome back to Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. Coming up Tuesday, October 1st from 5 to 6 p.m., you can head to the Publix and the Exchange at E-Town. Meet Brian Thomas Jr. and Jarian Jones of the Jags. A special appearance as they gear up for the home game against the Colts. That's the Publix on E-Town Parkway, 11205 E-Town Parkway, the address. Tuesday, October 1st, 5 to 6 p.m. Brian Thomas Jr. and Jarian Jones. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure it's a busy place today for the hurricane. That's how it always goes. Urgency against this Houston team, obviously, Bucky, because they were the favorites coming into the season to be the AFC South champs, and they have a winning record, and they have a quarterback who, at least the first 2 weeks of this season, has played well. Receivers that can get all over the yard. If Joe Mixon's healthy, he's looked good this year in the running game. So let's start with Stroud. Where does he stand now after 3 weeks, even after a rough outing a week ago?
Oh, he's a top 5 quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He has cemented his stuff with that, just the way he's performed early in the year. The thing that you're curious about is the struggles against Minnesota were real because Brian Flores does a great job in the pre-snap phase changing the picture and exotic changes of the picture. And normally in a copycat league, you're trying to replicate some of those things because they were so problematic for the young quarterback. But that doesn't appear to be the Jags style. They're going to line up and do what they do. They're going to see if you can beat them at their style, and they're going to try and find a way to create pressure while adding extra defenders in coverage. But this is going to be one for C.J. Stroud. If he sticks to the basics, man, he's going to have plenty of opportunities to dice up the Jags. He just has to be patient and disciplined in his approach.
Yeah, my understanding is the Vikings did what the Jaguars did last year in Houston, which is sort of play back, make CJ beat you all the way down the field, take away deep balls, sort of make him stay in the pocket, limit his runs to 3 or 4 yard runs, and that has been the MO of teams who are starting to play the Texans that way, if you will. So that would seem to be what the league is going to start trying to make him do. Will the Jaguars try to do that? I don't know.
We'll see. And it's a matchup with the receivers on the outside. These guys obviously can play. They added Stephon Diggs in this offseason to go with Tank Dell and Nico and those guys. And Bucky, it's a group that is formidable, certainly, at wide receiver against secondary right now for the Jaguars. It's dinged up a little bit.
Yeah, no, huge challenge. And because you have so many young guys that are going to play, like you're asking a lot of guys to step up at the right time. But the one thing about the Jags have played a lot of guys really early. And that playing time experience is going to come in handy, even though you're probably going to have to set some traps and double team one of the guys on the perimeter, whether that's Diggs or Collins, or if you want to throw one, I think that you got to neutralize somebody and make the other guys carry it. That's the challenge. That's the dilemma of dealing with the Houston Texans. Their personnel is outstanding. The play caller is terrific, and the plays that they're utilizing, I mean, they're hard plays to stop. Great by design, hard plays to stop. So they're really checking off boxes when it comes from looking like a team that's seriously going to compete as a title contender.
I've got a question for the defensive coordinator, Bucky Brooks. Which one would you double? And would you change that as the game goes in situations, or what? Who's priority number one of those receivers?
Nico Collins is probably number one because he can hurt you the most with the biggest plays. I would take him out early. I would try and really neutralize him and see if I can get him playing against himself in terms of being so frustrated as he hadn't touched the ball that he kind of has a mini implosion on the sideline. Then I would switch to double team later to Stephon Diggs to make sure that he also goes long stretches without touching the ball. And then I think those are the only two that can command, but I would change it. I would vary it. I wouldn't have a set rhythm to why I'm doubling one person as opposed to the other. I would just try and keep it in a situation where we can dictate the terms, but we're going to say early in the game, no Nico Collins. Later in the game, we'll give you Nico, but we're not going to give you Diggs. I would kind of play games with that because it's all the same to the DBs.
Yeah.
How about Foye Lukin? Sounds like could be down for a little bit. So Ventrell Miller getting an opportunity, according to Doug Peterson today. Big opportunity for him, Bucky.
Yeah, big opportunity for him. And this is what I'll say from Ventrell. From the time that we talked to him in the preseason at a pre-production meeting to the time I've been able to really study and watch him, I just kind of love how he's taking the right steps to be a pro. Early, stay late type. He's going to be kind of in the mix. This is a really good team. Like, it's just, we can talk about all the weapons and all the people. It's just a really good team without many glaring weaknesses. So the Jaguars are going to have to bring their A game. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, and it certainly sounds from reading tea leaves and reading the reality of the injury report that there may not be as much rotation this week because you're not going to have guys to rotate. Now, I still think they'll rotate the defensive line. I don't know that, will Ledbetter and Lacey start? I don't know. But it certainly sounds like they're going to have to go with the guys that brung them a little bit more than being able to rotate. Will that help? I don't know. But it is good that these guys have the experience that they gleaned in the first 3 weeks from playing. So we'll see how the secondary holds up. It's a challenge because it's a beat-up group. But they should have Savage back, Bucky. So
yeah,
it's
a good sign.
Well, I mean, that is a good sign because he gives them veteran experience. It gives them a little more flexibility in terms of how they can utilize them inside and high up. And can you do some of the other tricky and clever things that the Vikings were doing when it came to changing the picture post-snap, looking like in a cover zero blitz and dropping it out to an inverted cover two. A lot of fun stuff that Brian Flores was doing. A lot of little fun, creative, dynamic stuff that befuddled C.J. Stroud. We'll see if you can take some of that within your own scheme and utilize similar tactics to be able to throw him off his game.
Does it help at all? I guess I'm searching for something here, Buck. So I'll go with Buck. I have a question for the psychoanalyst. They did. My point earlier was not trying to be facetious, but the last really, really good game this team played was when they went over to Houston. And they played really well in that game. It's not a completely different team. First of all, I'll ask you this facetiously, Buck. What happened? But because that team that played over there that day was a tough. They were the better team. Like, if you had left that stadium and they had lost, you would have felt like the better team didn't win. So, what happened? A little facetiously, but can you bring that? I mean, can you play on that? Can Doug say, "Look, guys, can you show him that and say, hey, a lot of these guys are still here. We can still be that team."
You absolutely can play on that. And what you want to do is, like you, Doug Peterson, you want to harp back. You want to lean into all those previous lessons that kind of helped you build it up. And you also sometimes want to show them what they look like in comparison to the other team. Hey, guys, like, common opponents, this is what we did. Let's look at how we played against versus there. Look, I'm telling you when we're going there. Because here's the thing, and here's the thing that's really hard for coaches and players everywhere, but in NFL cities in particular. So if it goes wayward, everybody has an opinion for how you need to turn it around. All the noise, all the parents, all the people around town, all that other stuff. But when you look at it, right now they're 0-3. If they're able to win, they go to 1-2. The Texans will come down to they go to 1-3. The Texans come down to 2-2. That puts them right back in the thick of the race. So as bad as it appears initially, nothing has really impacted their goals ahead. Get into the playoffs as division champ, make a deep run in the postseason. All those things are attainable. They just have to keep their cool and kind of work through this rough patch so they can get to the other side of it.
I think Trevor tried to put that in perspective, and it's so tough to say because it's tough to clarify what you're talking about. But Trevor said it today. It's a long season. Now, he was very specific in that doesn't mean that this week isn't really, really important. But I think what he was trying to say is if they win Sunday, darn right it's a long season. Meaning if they win Sunday, you got, 13 games ahead of you, and then everything looks very real. You got 13 games to make up one. Well, obviously they can do that because they still play him again. We're way early to be using this phrase, but win Sunday and you control your destiny, right?
Oh, boy.
I mean,
week 4, September 25th. But, you heard it here first.
But I mean something, you're not out of it in that sense.
Yeah, it's a good point.
As long as you pull them back in Sunday. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about, Bucky. On September 25th,
No.
I did it.
No.
I said it. I said they control their destiny.
No, John, so here's the thing, and outside of the buildings, no one thinks like this, but normally in the building, your goal every quarter is to just be 3-1, right? 3-1 would get you to 13-4, which normally would get you a top 2 or 3 seed, and you're sitting pretty. Well, if you're off the mark, you go 1-3, then the next thing you do, you come in and say, hey, the next quarter, let's just get to 3-1 and we're even up. Because if they get to the midpoint at 500, now it's the dash for the cash to finish the season. And that's really what matters. And so a lot of us will look all the way down like, oh my God, they won't make the playoffs. But really, if you just break up the season into little pieces, they can get back on track. It starts with a win on Sunday. But man, if they get that, I would say this quietly. I think there are a couple winnable games in front of them where they can kind of claw their way back to 500 and then set themselves up to kind of play against some really good teams to see how good they really are.
Yeah, I've come to believe the longer I'm around the league, it's a league of belief. The players have to believe in what's going on. If you win Sunday, then you can believe when the coach says, hey, we're right in this thing. Then it's believable. If you don't, it becomes harder to believe that. So I think that's why it's big. It's not that 0-4 would be at 0-4. You're still, but if you win, then you look at it. Then it's easier for them to tell that to their friends, right? So, hey, this is So I think that is really important.
Let's come back. Our final thoughts ahead of this Jaguars-Texans matchup in Week 4. The Jags looking for their first win of the season. This is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. We have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Calling all loyal Jags fans and loyal Gate customers, football is back. And you and 3 friends could win a chance to meet Trevor Lawrence. Entering is easy. Just buy any 5 28-ounce Gatorade or Gatorade Zero products at Gate with your MyGate Rewards app, and you'll be automatically entered. Not a MyGate Rewards member? Download the app and sign up today. See store for details. Alternate entry available at GatoradePromos.com/TLAW.
Listen up. Just like football, timing is everything. Only water your lawn when necessary. And always check the weather before turning on those sprinklers.
Save water, save money, and score big. It's a win-win.
Whether you're on the field or at home, we're all on the same team. Florida's water. It's worth saving. This message brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Visit sjrwmd.com for more information. Looking for the perfect place to host a business trip, corporate group, or social gathering? Look no further than the award-winning Sheraton Jacksonville Hotel, proudly part of the Marriott family of hotels. Centrally located next to the St. John's Town Center off Gate Parkway in JTB, they offer everything you need, whether you're hosting a meeting or just unwinding with friends at the BC Grill and Patio. Discover comfort and convenience like never before. Search Sheraton Jacksonville or call 904-564-4772 today.
Welcome back. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks is brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first. Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. JP Shadrick, John Oehser in Jacksonville, Bucky Brooks in L.A. And week 4, the Jaguars and the Houston Texans. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time. The road team has won the last 5 meetings in this series. And, of course, that includes a couple for the Jaguars on the road at NRG Stadium. We've talked about the challenge, obviously, from starting 0-3 and trying to get back in the playoff race. And Bucky, you're right. A win this week would be huge in that regard. It brings the Texans back down. You're right there, a game back. You get a division game next week. However, there are only 6 teams that have started 0-3 and made the playoffs in NFL history. And one of those in the last 25 years. That was the 2018 Texans. So history's against them. However, that's history, right? I mean, this is a new season. This is a new year. This is a different team. This is not the 18. This is not those teams. That's so long ago that you got to put that out the window and focus on what the task at hand, John.
It's also a little, and again, I'm PD positive tonight.
I'm PD positive.
With 17 games, now
extra game.
There's more time to make it up. And I mean, apparently we're eventually going to 30 in this league. So at some point, an 0-3 start won't even matter. But there is that. At 17 games, you have more time to make it up. You have more playoff teams. And usually the reason teams don't make it at 0-3 is you're not very good if you start 0-3. So the Jaguars feel like that doesn't apply to them. So there are plenty of teams that get out of an 0-3 hole and get back and compete and don't quite make it. Their first task is to get out of the hole. And, we all sort of know what they have to do it. They just have to do it.
I mean, that's the frustrating part, right? Everyone knows we can talk about it. We can speculate about it. We can ponder all those things. But it's a player's game, and players have to play. And what it will require is someone make a play or two to kind of change the energy. And if they can never knock down that first win early in the year, the belief comes back. And then I think we have an opportunity to see this team eventually play at their best. But they're going to have to win a game against long odds to embolden them and give them the confidence they need to be one of those teams that's a heavyweight contender.
Yeah.
It's a good way to wrap it up today. Bucky, we will talk to you this weekend in Houston. Have a good one.
All right, man. It should be fun.
That's Bucky Brooks. That's John Oehser. I'm JP Shadrick. Our thanks to Joe Fortunato and Brent Reber. A programming note, no programming on Jaguars.com or Jags Radio tomorrow. The hurricane rolling through. We'll be back with regular coverage on Friday and throughout the weekend ahead of the Jaguars-Texans matchup. This has been Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.